Hi, welcome to the archives. Look, I got kittens. Oh, there goes Aira. Ari? Okay. So hi, welcome to the archives. Happy New Year. It's, what day is it? The 2nd? I just thought I would get on here while, what's the saying? Strike it while it's hot. I just read an article that has got me thinking, and I thought I might as well just do a quick video. This will be my first official video. You're gonna see the kittens. This is Aria. Say hi, Ari. So I just read an article from Forbes has an article they put out. Doug Melville, he wrote it. They wrote it, I'm not sure. So Doug wrote an article for Forbes called Costco Doubles Down on DEI as a Business Case, What We Can All Learn. And as I read this article, I'm thinking Ayira, thank you so much. As I read this article, I'm thinking about some of the different emotions that's behind this wave of anti-DEI push that we're seeing, and we're going to see it more and more, right? We saw Walmart caved. Walmart definitely caved. Costco said no. Costco said this is actually not good business, which is part of the, I'm not sure, we need to really study the psyche behind these people that are pushing it, because a lot of this is like what's going on in your mind, especially in North America, where profit over people is a huge thing. Corporations love their money. They love their money, right? And you see them, but at the same time, their personalities and the level of fear that we're seeing is so counterintuitive. It just lacks any ration, it lacks any reason, it lacks any logic. It's so emotionally charged, right? This backlash against DEI is so emotionally charged, right? Women, we are the emotional ones, not men, not white men, but it is so emotional. So I just wanted to talk about some of the emotions that are coming behind it. Before I do, I just want to tell you, I want to read part of the article that Doug wrote. First, I'll share so their proxy statement. I want to read Costco's proxy statement, but before I do that, I want to go into, so this is directly coming from the article. It says, I'll use their own words. This is what Doug wrote, not me. Doug said, I'll use their own words and I'll put a link to the, I'll share a link to the actual article itself. But Doug writes, I'll use their own words with portions from both the proposal and the board's response. So this is the initial, you come. So the initial proposal, it says, it's proposal number 4, my favorite number. Shareholder proposals requesting report on the risks of maintaining DEI effort. So again, this fear, right? They use fear. They love to use fear. They want to just make you so afraid. And why is that? If you study fear, fear is such a diabolical emotion. Not to pathologize fear, because it is healthy. We do need fear. But when you have so much fear, it's very crippling. It's very impulsive. You just make, right? Because you need to, in that moment, make a decision to save yourself. That's what fear does. This is what they're doing. Their fear. So it says the following shareholder proposal has been submitted to the company for action, the company being Costco, for action at the annual meeting by the National Center for Public Policy Research. So basically they went on to write, it is clear that DEI holds litigation reputational, their reputation as like slave masters, enslaving people for 400 years, that reputation is fine. Equality, that is the reputation we need to move away from. Okay. Reputational and financial risks. Financial risks. When I finish, Doug ends his article by going into actually the financial benefits of being inclusive. Okay, so they say financial risks. Actually, you know what? Maybe I tend to work backwards. Doug put the financial incentives last. I want to start with that. I actually want to start with that. Okay, let's start with that. So under the same article, Doug says the politics of DEI should not overshadow its power and potential. There's a lot of power and potential behind DEI. They will tell you there isn't. They will tell you that doing DEI will make you lose money. That's a lie. That is a lie. And I hope in 2025 we are clocking their lie, right? I saw on the internet recently that AI came up with the biggest, the number one misinformation, and it was like Elon. We have to clock all of the lies, right? DEI actually is very profitable. Why? Doug goes, by 2045, America will be a majority people of color country. That's what they actually fear. If you saw that clip of that white man having the conversation with the Asian guy, he literally said it point blank out loud. My fear is that these, Black people, immigrants, all of these people who are not white are going to take over. We white people will be the minority. Oh, I thought it's so easy to be a minority though, right? And also don't forget that this is on native land. So their fear is because they know what they did. They know the genocide that had to take place in order for them to rule. They know how bad they've subjugated so many of us in order to stay on top. And so that fear of being all of a sudden at the bottom and now we're all going to take revenge, it's terrifying. That's actually what this is about. And if you saw that video of that white man, he said it point blank out loud. He said the quiet part out loud. We're scared you guys are just going to take over, right? It's not new. If you read the 1619 Project, it is not new. White people in North America, I'll speak for North America. I'm not speaking on Canada right now. This article's in the United States. But they've been fearing this like, oh, they're going to take over us. It's been there, right? The replacement. So Doug says by 2045, we're going to be the majority. But building an inclusive, hold on. The building to bridge, They're like, she's so dumb. She can't even read. Can you? Building a bridge to be inclusive of these voices allows companies to overcome the historic blind spots with their consumers when it comes to messaging, marketing, and elevating their importance. So listen to this. How big is this blind spot? $6 trillion domestically alone in the United States. So they're shooting themselves in the foot and they're willing to lose $6 trillion, which doesn't mean that doesn't matter to them. They have money. But they're willing to lose $6 trillion domestically and $16 trillion globally. I don't really fuck with capitalism that way, but like if I'm just going to use it for the argument's sake. So you're willing to cut your nose to spite your face, lose 16 trillion globally. Black Americans in the US have a spending power of $1.4 trillion and $1.8 trillion annually. Between 1.4 trillion and 1.8 annually. That's a powerful economic block. This is not mine, I'm reading his. A powerful economic block that's comparable to the gross domestic products of Mexico. That's Mexico's GDP. Canada, which is where I am, and Italy. Just Black Americans alone can bring in that much money in the United States. They're like, nope, get rid of it. We don't give a fuck. Okay, but I thought you care about money. Remember that. When they tell you that DEI is going to make you lose money, no, it's going to make them, which is also the shame, right? I'll get into that next. Latinos in America, their purchasing power is in the US is 3.4 trillion in 2021. Latino Americans had a spending power of $3.4 trillion. Okay? Asian Americans have $1.3 trillion buying power with a median household income of $1,000, $104,646. That's the median household income for Asian Americans. That's well above the average American in the US, right? This is just domestic. This demographic has grown 314% over the past 2 decades. And this is just domestic. He goes on and says globally, if you include those who have disabilities and those who are LGBTQ+, they estimate their families spend over $13 trillion a year. That's for folks with disabilities and folks within the LGBT community. Their financial stress is estimated to be $3.9 trillion. Okay, so these are the numbers according to Doug. Don't quote me, quote Doug. These are the numbers. We're not talking millions, we're not talking billions, we're talking trillions. Trillions of dollars. Again, I don't really mess with it in that way, but if we need to break it, we need to use their language. They're saying you're going to lose money. Doug is saying, actually, you guys can gain trillions of dollars if you include these communities, right? No, that's not what they're saying. They're saying it has reputational risks. Costco still has such a program, the DEI. It still employs a chief diversity officer. And they're basically saying that Costco likely has at least 200,000 employees that are potentially victims, pay attention to the language, victims of illegal discrimination. So now they're discriminated. Oh, I'm so sorry. Welcome to the club. You had 400 years. They haven't even had 5 years. 2020 was just yesterday. Now it's been 5 years since 2020. You guys could not even do 400 years of this? 5 years? Weak. Illegal discrimination because they are white, right? So they're afraid that white people are being discriminated, specifically white men. Male or straight, right? Men or straight people are being discriminated again. Even if only a fraction of these employees were to file a suit and only some of these prove successful, the cost to Costco could be tens of billions of dollars. Think about that. How is it that people of color that have been in these institutions I can't even speak because it's so dumbfounding. Actual discrimination, where folks are discriminated at work, that's not an issue. That's not an issue. White people now there's illegal, right? Whenever we were saying that's racism, they're like, it's not racism. You can't compensate that because you can't prove racism. Now they can prove discrimination when it's against white people. Okay, but we know that's how they work. I really loved Costco's board's response. Basically, they said, our board has considered this proposal and believes that our commitment to an enterprise rooted in respect and inclusion is appropriate and necessary. Imagine respect and inclusion are controversial. The report requested by this proposal would not provide meaningful additional information to our shareholders, and the board thus unanimously recommends a vote against this proposal. Our success at Costco Wholesale has been built on service to our critical stakeholders, employees, members, suppliers. Our efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion follow our code of ethics. Wow, ethics. Somebody's talking about ethics? I thought we don't do ethics no more. Didn't that go out the window when this guy came in? And reinforce with everyone at our company the importance of creating opportunities for all. We believe that these efforts enhance our capacity to attract and retain employees who will help our business succeed. As our members diversifies, we believe that serving it with a diverse group of employees enhances satisfaction. And we believe that many of our members like to see themselves reflected in the people in our warehouses with whom they interact. Having diversity in our supplier base, including appropriate attention to small businesses, is beneficial for many of the same reasons diversity benefits our company. Again, I have my whole issue with big corporations, right? But that was Costco's response. And now you're thinking, why are these people so afraid? We know, right? The Great Replacement. So let's talk about some of the emotions. I'm going to end there because this is like almost, I'm going to end there because it's 14 minutes. Shame is a huge one. You have to write, I'm hoping 2025, this is what I'll do, that we can clock shame more. Imagine being white European, coming to another nation's, territories, tribes, communities, you them all, like we see that's happening right now in Palestine, right? You have to literally kill these people off to remove them from the land. Dispossession, replacement, you dispossess them. You take over the land, then you bring in Black Africans to do your work for you, even though you say they're lazy. They're the lazy ones, but they built the country for you, right? Okay, fine. And then you enslave them, you give them no rights, they can't do nothing. Finally, we progress. And 400 or 500 years later, these same people that you guys enslaved, subjugated, genocided, killed off, they're doing better. They're like, and the black women, that's the part that kills them the most. It's seeing black women succeed. That just terrifies them. Now they came and they're doing better than the descent. Not better, but you know what I mean, because we're definitely not doing. But like, the excellence is there. You can see the excellence, and now it's a lot of shame. It's a lot of shame. When you're telling communities that like white is superior, we are the most intellectual, we are so smart, we are strong, we do everything, all of these N-words are just beneath us, and now you're seeing them rise, that's a lot of shame. And what do you do with shame? You shut it down. All of us shut shame down. You have to hide it, right? Which is why transparency is very, very scary to a lot of people. You don't like to be transparent. Hide all of that. Shame, fear. Fear is a huge one. That's all it is. It's a lot of fear. Fear we're going to be small. Fear we're going to get replaced. Fear that they're going to come for us. Fear of revenge. It's just so much fear. Again, all of this is emotional. It's very, very emotional. They'll deny that they're emotional, but it's emotions. Contempt. Oh, there's so much contempt. Disdain. Oh, they fucking hate us. Right? It's just like, ugh, you're doing better. Like, imagine your enemy, your people who don't like you. Like, the bullies, you're just like, ugh, this small person, like, you're beneath me. Just contempt, disgust, disdain. They're repulsed. Again, that has to do with shame. It's projection. These are things that you're going to feel for them because that's what you've been feeling. That's what you have projected onto them. Like, we are just disgusted. Jealousy, let's clock it. There's a lot of jealousy and envy. There's a lot of jealousy and envy. We cannot, I posted a video yesterday on Facebook with the science behind why we like to see people fail, and they use that German word, Schlegenlager. I don't know, it's German. That, whatever that concept is, where we get joy out of seeing people fail. I personally love to see people fall. It does bring me joy. I don't mind seeing somebody fall, like they're walking, they trip and they fall. I'm very guilty of that, right? They said that has to do with low self-esteem and envy and jealousy. Yeah, it's low self-esteem. Like, why do you get satisfaction out of somebody suffering? That has to do with me. There's something in me that's really fucked up where I'm like, that, right? Disdain, grief. There's a lot of grief. I think we need to talk about how white people are grieving right now. They're grieving being number one. They're grieving being the dominant force. There's a lot of grief, which ties into the nostalgia, right? Make it great again. There's a lot of nostalgia. We miss these times. We're grieving these times. We're mourning these times. And rather than sitting down and going to therapy, they're just acting out on all of this. So it's 18 minutes. I didn't mean for this to be that long. That's all I wanted to do. This will be my first one, is pay attention to all of this DEI, critical race theory, all of this anti-black, essentially is what it is. They're attacking black people. It's not the Asians. They got caught. They think it's not them. They're catching strays. We saw it this year. As soon as they got rid of all of the affirmative action in the Ivy Leagues, now Asian people are complaining because they're still not being admitted, right? So they make you they pin us against each other, divide and conquer. Well, if we got no more affirmative action because those black people. Come on, Asian people, and then now they're still complaining because it didn't work in their favor. It's not going to work in your favor. Because that's not how life works. And they're going to tell you, oh, these people they're so naive. We don't know how life works. We don't know how the world, I very much know how the world works. If you read, you know how nasty this world works. If you have any proximity to rich people, you know how this world moves. It's a lot of pew, pew, pew. Keep quiet, right? Don't ruffle no feathers. Just go along, stay in line. We know that. That's all. I just wanted us to think about some of the emotions that are coming up right now as we see this, and I just wanted to use this article to talk about it. So those are some of the emotions I'm clocking. There's shame, there's fear, there's a lot of contempt, there's a lot of disdain, there's a lot of jealousy, envy. And what I try to do is not just where am I caught up in this? And that's what I hope to leave us with, right? I'm thinking about coming up with a plan, a course on how to teach folks how to work through shame, because that's what I studied, right? Shame is a very isolating emotion. It'll keep us, it distances us, It keeps us away from each other. This is exactly what it does. Shame moves us and keeps us away from each other. Isolation, fear. So I hope to talk about these topics some more this year. Remember, we have to redirect shame. Remember I said redirect shame? I saw, I'm not, Giselle? I'm not thinking. The French woman who just had her case. That was one of her calls to action, is send shame where it needs to go. I hope in 2025 we are redirecting shame where it needs to go, because we know they're going to be shaming a lot of our communities. We know it already, right? As a Ghanaian, I've been seeing it. This last election cycle in Ghanaians was deeply just shame the LGBT community. Shame, shame, shame. Target them, make them, everybody demonize them, and then everybody turns on them. And you guys are all just like, oh, well, I'm not gay. It has nothing to do with me. But are you a woman? Do you have a disability? Are you a black? Are you anything other than a white man? Right? Because if you're not, that's they're afraid. That's the backlash. It starts with the gays and the lesbians and the queers and the trans folks and the disabled folks, and then before you know it, it's white women now, and then before you know it, it's just like we have to be more attentive to who's being targeted, how they're being targeted, and recognizing not to put shame, but is it a matter of time before it's just us, and how do we collectively come together to address some of these things. And I think I appreciate Doug's stance on really showing us how much is actually being lost, because they're going to keep telling you that it's not, you're losing money. You do DI, you're going to lose money. That's not, how is that true? How is that even true? And we've seen Hollywood's done that for so long. Oh no, this is just a black movie. It's not going to sell. Black people don't have any purchasing power, right? So, anyways, please like, subscribe, share. Until next time, in solidarity.